I've always felt that contesting makes you a better operator. Now, I am in no ways a die-hard contester, but I do enjoy the competition and have learned something every time I go into competition mode. There is one contest, though, that is fun and full of DX contacts, doesn't require a lot of equipment or a big antenna farm to be competitive, and is accessible to every ham, even technician class operators. That's the ARRL 10-meter contest. It happens every December. In this video, we're going to talk about the 10-meter contest, the rules involved, what you need for a 10-meter antenna, and some strategy to put your best foot forward. So buckle up, this is going to be fun. The ARRL 10-meter contest is held the second full weekend of December, starting at 0000 UTC on Saturday, running until 23:59 UTC on Sunday. For 2025, that would be December 13th and 14th. The rules allow you to operate for up to 36 hours in the 48-hour contest. While some of the big guns may be on the air for up to 30 hours or more, the vast majority of participants operate for about 8 to 12 hours over the entire weekend. Entry categories are single operator unlimited, and multi-operator single transmitter. There are 3 power levels: QRP, which is 5 watts or less, low power, which is 100 watts or less, and high power, which is up to 1500 watts. Single operator low power is by far the most popular category. You might be asking, what's the difference between single operator and single operator unlimited? Well, the unlimited category allows you to use spotting networks to aid and assist in making contacts. If you plan to spot yourself or search for spots or even use social media and live streams as part of making contacts, then you will want to enter in the unlimited category. Scoring is simple: 2 points per phone contact and 4 points per CW contact. Digital contacts like RTTY and FD8 are not allowed. Multipliers include US states, Canadian provinces and territories, DXCC entities, and ITU regions. Counting multipliers can be tricky, so I recommend that you use some type of contest logging software. 2 that work very well are N3FJP and N1MM+. N3FJP is simpler to set up and use and is available to purchase at a small cost. N1MM+ is free, but more complex. If you are starting out, I recommend investing in N3FJP. The contest exchange is simple. You send a signal report and your state or province. The other station sends their state or province and a signal report. If you are a DX station that is located outside the US, Canada, or Mexico, you will send a serial number in place of the state or province. While the rules are straightforward, I recommend familiarizing yourself with them before jumping into the contest. To make the contest competitive for small operators, the rules allow for what is called the limited antennas overlay. Operation is limited to a use of a single element antenna, such as a single vertical, end-fed wire, or dipole of no more than 50 feet off the ground. The antenna may be a multi-band antenna, say like a trap dipole or a fan dipole, but must be constructed of a single element for that band. This can give you an advantage over the big guns running a full kilowatt into a multi-element beam, as you are only scored against other single-element antenna operators. Now, what would be a good single-element antenna? Well, the simplest is the dipole. You probably have the parts necessary to put an optimized 10-meter dipole on the air. All it takes is about 16 feet of wire and a center feed of some sort. I've got a video showing you how to build your own. Mounting the dipole at least 16 feet, that is a half wave, for the 10-meter band, will also provide a good DX takeoff angle. If you want to get fancy, you can hang your dipole vertically for an even lower takeoff angle, but that takes a little more effort. Instead of a vertical dipole, why not build yourself a 10-meter J-pole antenna? It's a high-performance vertical half-wave antenna, and I've had great luck pulling in DX contacts with a simple J-pole. It also broke many pileups on the previous 10-meter contests I've used it on. Links for the plans for building your own are in the video description. Since we're talking vertical antennas, 2 more that have great potential are the Rybakov and the KJ6ER Challenger. The Rybakov is a 25-foot non-resonant whip with a 4-to-1 matching section at its base. You'll need to use a tuner with this antenna, but its claim to fame is that it develops a great low RF takeoff angle on the 10-meter band, which accentuates DX contacts. I've had great luck pulling in DX with this antenna. The second is the KJ6ER Challenger antenna. This again uses a 25-foot whip and a 4-to-1 matching transformer at its base. But instead of being non-resonant and needing a tuner, the whip is adjusted so that it is a resonant vertical off-center fed antenna. Again, this is a highly efficient antenna with good DX properties. One last single element antenna to think about is the delta loop. Small delta loops like Chameleon's TDL antenna work great on 10 meters. You can also build your own with a 4-to-1 transformer and a piece of wire. I did something similar for the 20-meter band last field day, but a 10-meter version will be smaller and even easier to deploy. Now, whatever antenna you choose, the key to success is thinking about efficiency. You'll want to get the most out of your antenna for whatever power you're going to put into it. All of these antennas are highly efficient or have excellent RF radiation angles that favor great 10-meter performance. So, when you have your antenna selected, you can move on to operational strategy. Like I mentioned earlier, the 10-meter contest runs for 48 hours, but you won't be on the air that entire time. 10 meters is a daylight band, which means it requires the sun to energize the F2 layers of the ionosphere for good propagation. Depending on your latitude, you may have less than 9 hours of daylight each day, so the time you have available will need to be well spent. The F2 layer is the one that is most affected by sunspots and solar activity. As solar radiation hits this layer, it becomes energized, and shorter wavelength signals bounce off it. For this reason, the best time to work 10 meters is during the day. As the Earth rotates, early to midday will give you the best chances for European and East Asian contacts, and late afternoon for the westerly contacts like Japan, Australia, and Asia. Late evening and into the night, the band will shorten until the F2 layer completely loses its energy and the band closes. 10 meters does have a wild card though, and that's sporadic E. The E layer, which is composed primarily of ionized metallic particles, can reflect shorter wavelength signals. Sporadic E propagation peaks during the summer and winter solstice. The summer sporadic E is stronger than the winter one, but its effect is often masked by other seasonal solar noise. The quieter bands of the winter months can help accentuate sporadic E effect. Since sporadic E is not dependent on sunspots, this effect can happen even at the bottom of the solar cycle or during periods when the solar flux index is low. While we in North America are entering the winter, the southern hemisphere is enjoying warm summer months and greater levels of sporadic E activity. Expect a fair number of trans-equatorial contacts from South American stations during the daylight hours. You can also take advantage of sunrise, sunset, and the gray line to catch those rare DX stations. At the point just before dawn, the ionosphere's D layer isn't fully formed. The D layer absorbs HF radio signals, so this point right before sunrise is called the gray line, and it can produce great contacts, especially on the lower bands. But more importantly, shortly after sunrise and right before sunset, refraction of the F and the E layers can cause enhancements on the upper bands, especially the 10-meter band. Early morning is your best time to catch those European DX stations. Operating at dawn or dusk will be quite productive and will almost certainly net some new multipliers. How will you know when the band is opening up for the gray line or sunrise enhanced propagation? Well, I like to watch propagation maps that show the sun's position and the maximum usable frequency. If you are running in the unlimited category, you can also use the spotter networks to gauge how the bands are performing. Jumping into the contest, you may ask, should I hunt and pounce or park and bark? Your greatest level of contact productivity will happen when you establish a frequency and call CQ. Calling CQ will be a challenge as other stations may choose to set up next to you and do the same thing. Now, all's fair in love and war, and that's just part of contesting. You're going to have to pick up and move to another open spot on the band. As for hunting, I will often sweep the band, picking up stations as I move up and down until I find an empty spot. If I get pushed off that spot, I hunt for a bit, looking for a spot to settle back in. Now, one last thing about hunting is don't spend too much time trying to break a contest pileup. This isn't Parks on the Air, and if you can't get through in 2 or 3 rounds, mark the frequency, come back to it later. Your time is better spent on the contacts you can make instead of trying to break those impossible pileups. Finally, you may ask, as a technician operator, is it worth participating in the 10-meter contest? Of course it is. As a technician, you have CW privileges on 28 to 28.3 megahertz and phone privileges on 28.3 to 28.5 megahertz. While the band will be full of activity during the contest weekend, the bulk of it is going to be below 28.5 megahertz. The band will be crowded and you will get jostled around as DX stations come on and blow your signal out of the water. But that's just part of the fun of operating in a contest. You may not be a high score operator, but you can have a respectable showing and walk away with a whole slew of DX contacts. So what do you think? Have you worked the ARRL 10-meter contest? Do you have tips to share? Leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to hear about your experiences. If you're new to contesting, I encourage you to give it a shot. This contest is a lot of fun and not as intense as CW Worldwide or ARRL Sweepstakes. If you found this content helpful, well, please like and subscribe. That's my indicator to make more of these types of videos. Well, that's it for this time. I'm Michael, KB9VBR. Thanks for watching. You have a great day, and 7-3.